like I'm in a school project with just like the 2 or 3 people that no one wants to be with.
No.
Hi, we're Making Blind I See, and we're here doing a teardown of one of our songs from Post Cleanse Pre-Defeat, State of Substance. We're going to dive into the session where it was recorded. We're going to discuss some things like about the lyrics and the mix and the instrumentation and all that, and I hope you enjoy it.
Right, shut your various holes.
Okay.
Let's get on with it.
So State was always been like quite a personal song for me. When I wrote it, I suffered from quite severe anxiety with regards to people around me using substances. For a long time I was straight edge. It made me really uncomfortable when people around me were consuming like alcohol or using any form of substance, and it got to the point really where I started like cutting out friends and like not seeing family members and all sorts because of personal experiences in the past, and to this day I still try to avoid substance as much as I possibly can. So the lyrics were really based around my personal experiences with substance and people in my family abusing substance.
Yeah, well, I think the lyrics, like, for State refer to any kind of intoxication that's going on in the world. So at the moment, people choose to get intoxicated to avoid their, like, actual life, to avoid reality, instead of, like, living in the moment and enjoying themselves. They use it as an escape route and an excuse to get away with the things that they do.
Well, I thought the way you approached the lyrics was interesting because you gave up his perspective. Yeah, I thought the way you approach the lyrics are really interesting because it gives a perspective from both sides while still underlying. Fuck off, Cameron! Prick!
No, I'm gonna start laughing. It's not your fault. It's just
No, I know it isn't. That's
So, Rob, you were
quite
saying.
aware of that, yeah. What I was going to say, Mark, is that is it me? Am I the problem? Yeah, I thought the way you approach the lyrics are really interesting because you give the perspective of both sides, but still like underlines the main issue. For those who have suffered or are still suffering.
The instrumentation, it was one of those songs that came together on its own, didn't it?
It was magical.
You came in and you had this idea, didn't you? You had like a basic structure in your head and you came in and you said like, I want a song and it needs to start with like a quick drum fill like this. We were playing around and and then it was like that, and Colin was like, yeah, that was
brilliant.
the one. And then you were like, okay, so now I want like a chord progression, like da-na, 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 and we were just like, okay, so what about this? And I picked up my guitar and I was like, and we were sort of playing that.
We wanted to keep that kind of consistent fast drum beat because it's just had that fill with like the kind of short break and then straight back into like a quick upbeat rhythm. And we kind of developed it from that, and we got the chord progression and put the drum pattern over it.
And it was just like, yeah, we wanted it to drive with that bop. And I remember specifically you turned around to me and said, right, I want a drum beat over this chord progression. It's like bapple, and I was like, okay, that's cool. So we added that in, and then you were like, yeah, that's great. Now I want this tapping lead to go over it, playing around, and we sort of came up with that sort of. And that was what we did with it.
It's one of my favourites to play. It's high energy from start to finish, and it's heavy, but it's bouncy at the same time.
Yeah.
And then you've got that sort of tech bit in the middle, which is fun, or rather not fun to play.
It's great when you're playing it. Like when we play it in rehearsals, it's like the riffs coming up, quick power stance.
It was just the way everything sort of fell into place, like, and it just worked so well that the lyrics, I wrote the song, the lyrics, and they just went straight over this song so perfectly, and we wrote it in like 2 days. When we were mixing the album, we discussed a lot of aspects. We wanted to really drive home the story of the songs in the mix as well as in the lyrics and everything else around it. We designed a lot of the sounds from scratch to sort of give that the right impact in places.
Well, we designed this song in particular, the lyrics and the music, to sort of work together in terms of one side you create this like mimic this like drowsiness of like the substance abuse or whatever, and then you've got the sharpness on the other side of it.
Yeah, with the guitar, with the guitar lead.
Instruments and lyrics sort of work together.
I remember in particular with this one, it was really hard to get that level of sharpness of the the lead guitar and the vocals to sit on the chorus in a way that carried on with that sort of devil on your shoulder lead always there, but didn't take away from what the vocals were trying to say. And I think there was about 4 or 5 renditions that I kept sending over, and it was just like, is this one right? And everyone was like, no, that one's not quite right yet. The vocals are too loud. Oh no, that's not quite right. The lead's now overpowering.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, isn't there? If you dive deep into it.
If we solo out these vocals, there's actually 3 layers of vocals. And because we wanted that drowsy effect, you can hear how it sort of cuts at the end of each text. That's because there was so many effects going on to like give that drowsiness in the take, that if you left it to go over, you just had this constant wall of sound throughout the whole thing. And we just had the one main layer of vocal and then 2 underlying layers that would really like wide and like really push to the sides of the speakers to give that sort of dreamy,
just spaced out a bit
effect.
So we also wanted to keep the rhythmic section really tight during the recording process, almost robotic, if anything.
Yeah,
it became hard to do.
Yeah.
Became hard to do, but
as we are not robots.
you sure with the way
Although
you're
it's not
speaking?
for lack of trying on your
I
part.
know, yeah. So yeah, we created this kind of marching feeling, and we saw it as like a story of those who are using substance abuse to escape from their realities.
Sort of fall in line.
Yeah, to follow everyone else. A part that like really stood out in that was the breakdown section.
Yeah, so you can hear that sort of marching effect in there.
Since the lead comes in, it sort of brings you back out of that marching.
Yeah.
Pulls you back to reality a bit.
And it makes it that bit human again, and it's not just that robotic.
Thoughts.
No, it's like we almost had it scripted out for us.
None of that. What?
Whoa. No, never.
Oh, we didn't have a
No,
script.
right, I'll save the day, shall I?
Yeah, go on, save the day.
Well, State for me, I mean, it's one of when I first joined the band, it was one of the first songs Sean sent over for me to have a listen and to play. So he sent the tabs over, and I learnt it. So it's a very fun song for me, just because
It was the start for you.
yeah, it was a start.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. And it was very fun to learn to play. But then it wasn't until you did like what we're doing now, you broke everything down for me, lyrically and musically, and I just thought it's more than a bouncy, heavy song. It's a complete idea of substance abuse and just this whole.
Well, it's great because when we wrote it, it obviously had a very sentimental meaning to Mark.
Yeah.
Like lyrically and musically.
Naturally, that's going to bring out a lot of emotion and a lot of
Character.
basically.
Yeah.
You're not just writing a song for the sake of writing a song. This is personal.
Yeah.
This is a part of you, Mark,
Yeah.
mostly.
But it was also the first song me and you wrote together.
I think it was,
It
yeah.
was the very first song we ever wrote together.
Yeah,
What a significance then.
yeah.
Just literally go into a room and we're like, got an idea.
Yeah, for me it's definitely one of the ones that's really quite close to my heart lyrically.
But ultimately, it's just a really good, fun song.
It is. It's a bop. If you haven't checked it out, check it out.
Thank you for watching. This has been Inside the Session of State of Substance.
This is only
We
juice,
hope
by the way.